I'll talk about privacy. My name is Lefteris. For those of you who don't know me, I've been in Ethereum since 2014. I created and helped clean the DAO in 2016. Either sorry for this or you're welcome, depending on which side of the argument you stand. I was the tech lead for the Raiden network, which is what the Lightning Network is for Bitcoin. That is what Raiden network was supposed to be for Ethereum, didn't really catch on. And I am the founder of Rotki, something about which I will talk a bit later. So, privacy. This is a talk about privacy, so maybe we should start with a definition of what is it. The Merriam-Webster dictionary says that it's the quality or state of not being apart from company or observation. So basically, when someone cannot see what it is that you are doing. Another definition, freedom from unauthorized intrusion. This is a bit closer to what we consider privacy in the digital world. Secrecy. This is a part of privacy that people associate with criminals, with something bad, something negative, that you want to be, you want to do things in secrecy. Despite all that, it has been declared a human right in the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. Article 12 actually mentions that no one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with their privacy. In 1949, this is like Eleanor Roosevelt holding the Declaration of Human Rights. They said that privacy is indeed a human right, but they were imagining more like physical privacy, so that someone does not impose upon you, someone does not come and peek in your home. As we have entered the digital age, we start changing our view of what privacy is. According to the Australian Information Commissioner, you have to be free from interference and inclusion, to associate freely with whomever you want, and to be able to control who sees information about you. So with this, we are getting closer to what we consider privacy in the digital age. There are very many ways to look at privacy. We all traveled, many of us traveled here to Belgrade, like you can imagine, security check. This is an attack on privacy. When you are being surveilled, that is also an attack on privacy. In the digital world, how your personal information is handled, this is my definition of privacy, our definition of privacy here whenever we talk about crypto. Awa from Manoma has written a very nice blog post that privacy is a mistake. I really recommend that you guys read it. It's kind of short, but the gist of it is that privacy is good. It's normal to consider that we need to be private, but the word is a mistake. You don't want to hide something. When you mention privacy, it doesn't mean that you're a criminal or that you're doing something in hiding. We are unfortunately building applications on Rails that are well, not meant to hide, not meant to respect our privacy. So privacy is not about hiding, but it's about freedom. It's always about freedom. The freedom that we as users have to choose who we share our information with. Specifically in crypto, privacy is really bad. We speak about crypto and say that it's all transparent. It's great, right? Everything is open, everything is persistent, and almost everything is auditable. It's a very strong point of crypto, but it's not all rainbows, unfortunately. Transparency is good if you are a public official. If you're the government, for example, then you have this beautiful transparent database that's accessible to everybody worldwide. Using this for governments, which unfortunately is not happening yet, would be amazing. For example, if you have ever dealt with bureaucracy in any European state, or multiple ones. So I'm from Greece, I live in Germany, I have a daughter who is half Polish, so I have to deal with 3 different states, and just to prove who I am, or who my daughter is, or what my relationship is to her, I have to visit different embassies and do different things. All of this would be solvable with a click of a button if governments were actually working with a transparent ledger. Even better, corruption. If all your public funding is on-chain or is in any kind of public ledger, then it could potentially eliminate corruption, because then you you can see where your funds are going, where taxes are being spent, how. Nothing can be hidden. So transparency for government, very, very good. This is something that actually is not being used for, like crypto is not being used for this purpose, and it's really a missed opportunity if you think about it. Unfortunately for us end users, all this transparency is bad. It's actually not good. So when everything is open, that means that anybody can look you up. Everything being persistent means that you have no right to deletion of data. You want to be forgotten? Well, no, forget it. It's there forever. Even after you die, I will be able to see everything about you on-chain. And being auditable means that anybody can connect the dots. So in short, there is complete lack of end-user privacy in crypto. All your history is visible on-chain. However much money you have, tokens, funds, anything, we will be able to see it on-chain. And not only how much you have, but how much you will ever have. All your, once we associate an address with your name, that's it, you're done. You cannot hide. I will give some examples of how bad and how easy it is to lose your privacy in crypto. Let's say that you get an ENS name and you want to get your name, like this guy here, dereksilva.eth. I don't know who that is. I don't have any connection with him. I'm sorry if I'm using your name as an example, but it's all public and on-chain. So you register the name, and then let's say that you have some kind of action that there is a particular set of people that disagree. Completely random example from what I was trying to look at. Let's say spunk chain is something that people don't like. And you are a bad guy who doesn't like spunk chain users, and then you as the bad guy want to find and punish spunk chain users. Then you will go through the list of all activities of spunk chain and then see an ENS name. Oh, wait, that guy has an ENS name. I can hurt him. I will go to his ENS and see, oh, that's his Telegram, that's his GitHub, that's his website. I can see everything about him. And then I can have a field day, I can do him harm. How do you hide your data online? There are many ways, but many of us have tried to use the way that is not using Tornado Cash, let's say, would be to use an exchange. So you deposit from a public address, and then you withdraw from a private address. And you're kind of breaking the link there. The problem with that is that it's very, very easy to dox. So let's say that you want to deposit USDT from your public address to Binance and sell it. You do that. Good. You sold the USDT. Then, few months pass, let's say 3 months later, you want to sell some uni. You go to Binance, press deposit, get the deposit address, copy, paste, send, and suddenly you realize after the fact that you sent it to the same deposit address from the private address as it was a public address. That means that you have connected those two addresses. It's actually very easy to see this on-chain. There are tools to do that. The addresses that you thought were private suddenly now are connected. You are doxed. My favorite, sign in with Ethereum. We love the UX of this. It's so nice. You go and your wallet says, I'm going to sign in with Ethereum here, and everything will be accessible to me. You don't realize, though, that by signing in with Ethereum, you are doxing everything about you, your address, your location, associated with an EVM address, and a lot of other metadata. What is worse, and something that I have actually made a mistake many times, is that the wallets, the way that they are right now, you are connected with one address in one dApp, let's say a private address, then you're connected, you want to sign in with Ethereum with a public address to another dApp, and by mistake, somehow the wallet thinks you want to use the private address, and then you are suddenly signing with Ethereum with a private address in an app that you never intended to. More sinister attacks, NFT metadata attacks. Let's say that you know someone's address, and you want to find out their IP. You can airdrop them a specially constructed NFT. Let's say this IP address, right-click and savor. And then they see, oh, someone gave me an NFT. Nice. How much is it worth? They will open it with their rotki, or with their Zapper, or with their Ethereum. And what the app will do is that it will ask a server that's malicious, give me the image of the NFT. But while doing so, the malicious server will gather the IP of the user and a lot of other metadata. So basically, this is an attack on someone's privacy. There was even a blog post that was made about how easy it is to do this. There are solutions, but most tools actually don't care about this stuff. Rotki, the tool that we are building, doesn't allow you to render NFT images from various domains, and you can customize this. You can only whitelist specific domains that you want images from. So what can we do? How can we fight against this invasion of privacy? We should be using privacy-protecting technology. So apps that are made so that they do their best to preserve your privacy, like Rotki. We should use tools that can disconnect public and private addresses, like mixers, like TornadoCast, but perhaps use mixers that have not been sanctioned. Worst case, we should use this exchange deposit and withdrawal technique, but be very, very careful not to dox yourself. I have done it many times by mistake there. It's very, very easy to reuse deposit addresses. And really important, support the people who are fighting for our privacy, especially in the legal domain. Because right now there are legal battles that are being fought that are going to define the next decades in crypto. So, about those legal battles, unfortunately, privacy is being criminalized. We've seen the sanctions on TornadoCast. We have seen the arrest of Alexei in the Netherlands and the Romans in the US. And another mixer, the Samurai Wallet mixer, also got charged. And Pertsev also actually recently just got convicted. Talking about this a bit, I don't know how, okay, maybe. I don't know how readable this is, but this is the conviction of Alexei Pertsev in the Netherlands. They gave an English summary at the end, and this is part of this summary. I was talking with some people from the Netherlands trying to understand how the Dutch law works, because it doesn't make sense to me. But they explained that it's just really a gap in understanding between the judiciary, that's old, and people who actually create decentralized tech. The main argument here being that is the last paragraph, that if the defendant, if Alexei wanted to do something about protecting the users of TornadoCast, they would have put a backdoor inside. From the point of view of a judge that's 70 years old, doesn't understand how this tech works, it makes sense. You want to protect your users. You do not want to do them harm. So you have to have put some kind of control. Why didn't you do that? You have to be malicious. It does make sense if you think about it from a completely non-technical point of view. But if you understand how this tech works, if you understand that it's open source and that anybody would see the backdoor and basically a backdoor in a mixer nullifies the point of the mixer, then the argument loses sense. But unfortunately, the judges made a different decision. What's worse? They argue that the developer continued building TornadoCast even after they learned that it's being used by criminals. Again, a big gap in understanding, because they do not understand that once something is out, even if you stop working on it, it still exists. It's permissionless and it's unstoppable, for better or for worse. This is something that hurt me personally when I read this. They say that there is no legitimate use case for TornadoCast. All of the cases of privacy invasion on using crypto, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any other EVM chain that I showcased before, they are not a legitimate use case according to the judges. The only legitimate use case is crime. So the developer who created the tool is a criminal, according to them. Like this is probably the biggest gap between us and the people who are creating these legal precedents. And what's worse, they even attack Alexei's character and say that he acted lazily by not trying to help the people, even though, as I explained, there is no way, you can't help the people who had their cash stolen by a hacker, and then just the crypto was just routed through TornadoCast. And he's so bad that not only do they imprison him for 5 years and 4 months, but they take his car and his crypto, which is valued according to them to 1.9 million euros. So there is a huge gap in understanding between what we are building and how it is going to be regulated and how the judges in any jurisdiction, now here is the Netherlands, it could be any other jurisdiction, understand it. So I would like to ask everybody who has the means to support the Legal Defense Fund of the TornadoCast devs. It's in this link here. The QR code is a link to donate to their defense fund. I like to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. And this is like my donation to the Legal Defense Fund, shown through rotki. So this is about privacy and legal stuff. So how can we as builders create something that helps the user have the freedom to choose what data they share? We build self-sovereign applications. What is a self-sovereign application? It's something that gives you the ownership and ability to control your data. Agency over how you share the data. So I decide how my app should share data and with whom. And you have the ability to audit the code. We build self-sovereign apps by making them local first. Local first is a term that was introduced by Martin Klebman in the seminal paper, Local First Software. You own your data in spite of the cloud. And it's, this is Martin Klebman, by the way. It's like these 4 bullet points, very, very simple. You keep the majority of the functionality local. This is important, not web apps, local apps. Going back to the roots. The data is stored locally. You own your data, not some centralized server. Privacy and security are paramount. When you use the network, I mean, we live in an interconnected world. You can't, it's not an offline app, it's a local first app. So the network is used, but it's not necessary for everything. Not every key store needs to go through Google server. Key press. So self-sovereign apps are also open source, because open source is magic. What is open source and why is it good? It means that the code is readable. So this is transparency. It means that whatever Lefteris says about rotki, it's something that you can actually confirm. You just open the code, or you have someone who can confirm, read the code. Open source also attracts community talent and developers. Because in contrast to source available, so source available means the code is open and that's it. But with open source, you can copy it, you can modify it, and you can build on it. This is something that source available code doesn't allow. So open source actually makes people want to build on it, and it can attract both a community and developers to build on it. It's something we have seen with rotki, for example. We are not building walled gardens, so there is lack of data capture, so your data is yours. And generally, if everybody built open source, then we would be living in a much better world, because we all share knowledge and we all progress together. For a concrete example, I'm going to talk about rotki, which is an application that is a management tool for your portfolio. The rough TLDR is that rotki is an open source app, so this is how the dashboard looks like. All data is local, you own it. It gives you a bird's eye view of your portfolio. It can track exchanges, and also multiple EVM chains and non-EVM chains, though people are asking for some that we don't support yet, like Solana. We are trying. And the point is that we want it to be a super app that tracks a lot of things, so also traditional finance. And it's customizable. This is really important because each one of you is very unique and has different needs. And this is something that we really try to put our heart into rotki, because everybody says, hey, could you do this a bit differently? Okay, let's customize this, let's customize this. This makes for a UI that sometimes can be too old-fashioned, some people would say, but it's the functionality that makes the difference here. We also have historical data and P&L. The historical data is something really beautiful about rotki. We have, for all EVM chains, a very big set of open source decoders, and many people actually are building open source decoders apart from our team. So the view of rotki of EVM chains is growing every day. and it understands what you do, it decodes it in human readable form, and shows it something like this. And it's customizable. If something is not read correctly by rotki, you can just go and edit the event and then tell it, okay, this is, I don't know, sending a donation somewhere that rotki didn't understand. And you also see in the same history view, exchange trades, ETH staking, EVM events, and so on and so forth. So everything in one common history format. And those events, later, they can be processed, and you get a nice P&L overview that probably needs massaging because rotki is not a tax tool. And then you can export it in a CSV and share it with an accountant. The whole point of this is to take control. You can customize almost everything in rotki. So what nodes are going to be queried, for which chain, and even with what probability. Other examples is you can customize where will rotki query prices from and the order. For example, first manual prices, then CoinGecko, then DeFi Llama, then Crypto Compare, and so on and so forth. Again, it's about owning data. So all the data is local in your machine. Nobody else can actually see what you are doing and what you have. Nobody else can track you. You can back up your data. You can make various exports. You can export P&L in a CSV, but you can also take any event from the history events view and export either a single event or filter it. Like say, I want all events in the last week that were done by Lefteris.eth on Aave, and then export that. If you have a premium subscription, then you can also use our server to have backups and then restore another machine. All encrypted, of course, we don't see anything. A little bit about what the vision of the tool is. It is not a tax tool. My mistake was that when I first introduced it to the world, I said it helped me do my taxes. It still does for me, but that's because I'm its creator. It's not a tax tool. I could spend another 30-minute talk on why, and it could just talk to me later on why it's not a tax tool. Just take my word for it. It's not a tax tool. Do not use it as a tax tool. I mean, you can, but do not have expectations that it will be a tax tool and that you have one day to do your taxes, then you download rotki and you ping me in Discord, help me figure it out. No, this, I'm sorry, we cannot do. But what is its vision? For the OGs here, do you remember Mist? Has anybody used Mist? Ah, good, good. So the vision is to sort of bring back the Mist browser. The Mist browser was an app that allowed you to explore the chain and interact with it. So kind of a super app that it's a local app that allows you to explore the various apps of, well, there was no other EVM chain back then, of Ethereum, let's say, and interact with them. In general, one-stop app to manage both DeFi and CeFi, and to better explore your blockchain activity. This is something that we really take pride in because people have been telling us that once properly set up, rotki shows their stuff better than any other tracker and better than any blockchain explorer. And that's true because, well, we have a lot more context. For example, Monerium, right? Monerium is a protocol that you can transfer euro from the chain to a bank. You just basically burn it on chain and it becomes a SEPA transfer, or the other way around. You transfer euro to an IBAN and it appears on chain. It has no fees yet, so if they put fees, don't kill me. In rotki, it's tracked with all the details. So you see something like this, the history event view that I was showing before, and you send 2,400 euros to Rotki Solutions GmbH, and IBAN, and the memo is whatever memo you have sent. Even more TradFi and CeFi connection there. Gnosis Pay, it's a credit card that is essentially a self-sovereign bank by using a Gnosis safe underneath. And you can, well, spend euro directly, like buy groceries, like from Aave. You withdraw from Aave, and you basically just get groceries in the supermarket. Sort of works in Rotki because it's a safe transaction, we see it. But if anybody from Gnosis Pay is here, I'm still waiting on that API. I will hold you to that promise. So please give us that API so that we can give that extra metadata there, all the merchant information. The future of the app is going towards active management. So not just a portfolio tracker, but actively messing with both DeFi and CeFi from inside the app. Let's say that you want to sell 1 ETH, and because we're connected to all of your exchanges and the chain, we can see, oh, wait, so 1 ETH would be this much in Kraken, this much in Coinbase, this much in CowSwap. Okay, so execute through through Kraken. Better integration with Stratify. Not only, we would like you to be able to track your bank from inside rotki. We start with Monerium, but it can actually be your other banks, or even your ETFs or whatever else you have. So something that we plan to do soon is like to have the bank integration, like you have the IBAN, what transactions you have done, and even make SEPA transfer from inside the app. Generally, more chains and protocols. Everybody is asking when XYZ in rotki. We're working on this. Next talk is by Miko on Gearbox. We're working with them to help us understand how Gearbox works and integrate it. And performance, speed, and improvement. Being a Python app, we have some limitations, and this is exactly why we are building some daemons underneath in Rust, so we can fully utilize the local first approach and really make a very strong application for all of you. So they will throw me out, so I should go to call to action. If you like what you hear, if you like our values or the ideas that we are building for, we're hiring. You don't need to start by applying for a job with us. The best way is to actually come as an external contributor. Just join our Discord. We have a channel dedicated for open source contributions. We will help you, and then you can also see if it's a good fit, both as a team but also as a kind of work. It's not for everybody. It's not rainbows and unicorns. It's actually pretty hard. So we are a small team. We don't have a marketing department. We don't have a marketing guy. Now I'm the marketing guy. I'm wearing my marketing hat. So if you like rotki, if you use rotki, please spread the word about it. Use it daily and talk to other people about it so that we can get more exposure through this organic marketing. This is indeed like the best way for us. Everybody that I talk to that has used rotki has used it thanks to another person who is a very happy user that introduced them to it. We have a premium subscription. Buy it if you want to help us keep building open source for you and generally spread the word. That's, I guess, all. Thank you very much.
Okay, do we have questions?
Do you have any questions? No questions? Oh, I see a question back there. Or more like someone wanting to ask a question.
Hey, Lefteris. First of all, very happy rotki user for 3 years, something like that. I really like the bank transfer thing that you also mentioned. Is this something that you plan on using stuff like PSD2 or something else to pull information from the bank and to make the SEPA or SWIFT transfers?
Yes. So we'll start as a proof of concept first with Monerium because it's already there. Like we don't need anything else. So we have the credentials for their API and we can just do it directly. We don't need anything else. For a more generic bank integration, we would need to either use the PSD2 that is only limited to a few banks, or we would have to make an investment and have it use those APIs. I don't remember the name, but they are pretty expensive per month. But then it would pass through our server, but we would be able to get all of the information for any bank worldwide. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but it's there are APIs that can do that. The problem is that they're expensive. There is one.
Could you maybe, first of all, thank you very much. It was very interesting and informative. And recently I came across one concept where people were analyzing difference between privacy and anonymity. Could you maybe give some comments on your view where that differentiation is between privacy and anonymity? Or whether you think those terms are different, or do they mean the same things? What do you think?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. You asked about...
Difference between privacy and anonymity, basically.
Huh. Well, that's a good question. I would... good question. So, I guess they are related, but not... they're not tied together. For example, I am quite not anon, but I'm very big proponent of privacy, and I do have my public persona separated from my private persona, both on chain and in other things. But so as I said, privacy is about the freedom to share what information you want. Anonymity, so an anon like I don't know, like Pantek, it's taking things a bit further. It's like completely separating, having an online persona, I guess.
Okay, yeah, so anonymity is like more implemented, right, than privacy. Privacy might be viewed maybe as not disclosing the information you don't need to disclose, and maybe anonymity is a kind of the deeper level of privacy, right? Or
yeah, anonymity would definitely be a deeper level. I would even say they are related. So in the Venn diagram, they have a common space, but they are also not exactly the same issue.
Thank you very much.
Hello. Thank you for the great talk, and thank you for emphasizing the importance of privacy. My question is actually quite practical. How do you manage the explosion of rollups? And now there's also, it's not just L2 anymore, it's L3s and bunch of also then DeFi services across rollups. Can projects just write an adapter, or how does it work?
Very, very good question. It's not just rollups, the explosion of everything in the space. A good way to handle it is to say to everybody, just, hold your horses, wait. Half of them will be dead in a year. I mean, this is actually true. We have had so many issues in our GitHub repository that we just closed saying, hey, it got hacked. It stopped. Hey, that was a rug pull. Hey, that exchange actually declared bankruptcy. We're not dealing with it. So one is to actually wait and not jump for every single new shiny thing, because 70%, like totally taken out of my ass now, will not exist in a year. The other thing is we need, in general in this field, a lot more, people don't like the word, but ossification. We need standards. We need standardization. And when there is standardization, there is easy interfaces that are common between things. So we try to support those that have these common standards first. Anything else that's completely exotic stays in the back, and only if it gets really, really, really a lot of users and people are telling us, please support it, please support it, please support it, then do we spend any time on it. In general, it's a very difficult concept, and it will get only more difficult, not only for us. Like, this is a question for anybody that integrates anything in crypto and DeFi. Unless there is standardization, it's going to become increasingly expensive, basically.
Last question. Okay, no more questions.
All right, so I guess that's all. Thank you all very much.